Hey guys, it's Latios, and for today's video, I'm gonna at least try slowly to read the subway stories with you guys.
So as long as you don't find it pointless, I'll celebrate every future anniversary with you.
So let's at least read one of them for you, which is here. This is not open yet. Oh, it's open. Oh no. I don't know why we have to wait that long, but come on. Come on. Alright, so lingering nightmare. Let's read the subway. I was in an empty subway train. All I could hear was the humming airflow and vague noise of people. I felt a light heartache, but couldn't even remember what happened. I didn't even know why I felt this way. The only thing I knew was perhaps everything in this world was following an invisible path of fate. Bad news kept showing up. That's not good. As for the reason of this twisted fate, maybe everything was destined the moment Evolve was born in this world. I looked through the window as lights flew past it from outside. I saw the reflection of my confused face. Is this train empty? It took me quite some time to realize this, as my brain seemed to be working slower than usual. I got on my feet, walked to the door, and looked outside the cabin. I could still hear the noise of people, albeit it seemed to have come from another world. The cabin was indeed empty. But for some reason, this train gave me an incredibly familiar feeling, or perhaps I should say power. The train was traveling steady and fast. The windows had lots of mist on them. I saw some billboards outside, but could hardly see any clear pictures. Suddenly, I heard a light piano melody in the cabin. Oh, that would be hypnosis, huh? Oh my gosh, the melody entered my ears and sent a chill into my brain like ice-cold snowflakes. Is that Cyril again? So, I promise you, the only ones I read was in that video because I was confused of how this event worked. But in terms of reading anything, I promise you I didn't. Unfortunately, I had to look at the pictures. So very interesting how later we get to see their kid self too. They actually don't have a voice, but I promise you I read none of it except what you saw me in the video when I made this. So I hastily turned around while his white figure was nowhere to be found. Cyril, what are you doing this time? Yes, I walked toward the other end of the empty cabin. It was long, narrow, and bright. The melody was still gentle and calming, but I got more restless and started running. Yeah, I'd too, right? However, the cabin seemed like a never-ending treadmill. I kept passing the same seats, windows, closed doors, and shiny handrails. But I could never reach the end. Finally, I stopped, panting, heart beating fast. The melody was still going on, just like my pursuit. It seemed to have ended in an infinite cycle, over and over. Just going through substations over and over again. Why was I running anyway? I shouted a name. He was playing the piano. Who was him? Why did I want to find him? And what could I do even if I found him? Ding dong. I suddenly heard a ring and the piano stopped playing. Alerted, I quickly turned my head around. Okay. Attention all passengers. The next station is... so I don't know where. Please walk to the door if you dare like to get off at the next station. The announcer came a twisted noise. I was just joking about that twisted noise. I didn't think it'd be ominous. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't tell the station name. Arrived? But where is this place? I heard the wind noise as the train started slowing down, followed by a light sound. We have arrived at station. Please get off using the doors on the right. Always watch your steps. The door in front of me slowly pulled to the side. My God, these are actually long stories. But the same familiar scene appeared in front of me. I see. Okay, so now we get to read this again here. Oh, no. The waiting time for food was extremely long as the time got closer to dinner. Tourists around me were excitedly talking about the special parade tonight. Excitedly. I heard that a few cartoon characters are giving a special performance, so I took my phone out and tried to let Keto know. Strangely, his phone was always busy. Finally, I got the takeaway we ordered and went back to the same way, only to find people all coming to the exit. What happened? Oh my gosh. Attention all guests. All facilities are temporarily out of service due to an unknown error. We apologize for the inconvenience. Please leave an order under the guidance of our staff. How weird. Why did the amusement park suddenly close down? I had a bad feeling for no reason. I tried to go back to where we split. Every facility I saw along the way had an out-of-service sign on them. The confused guests were being guided out of the park by some security guards. I suddenly realized those security guards looked strange. Or should I say familiar in a different way? I saw those faces in the Keto Black Swan headquarters in another world. Oh, shit. Something must have happened, and that could be the reason why Keto asked me to come here. The park is closing in 1 minute. All guests, hurry the hell out of the park. Please hurry. My heart started racing. I walked even faster to Keto's location. I felt like I was lost. I felt like I lost control of my legs before I realized I was already running until I saw the golden silhouette under the sun. Keto.
You came back.
Yeah. I stopped, but my heart was still beating incredibly fast. Keto was still sitting on the steps, his legs crossed together with ease, and you can squeeze me. No, I'm just kidding. I took a deep breath, but didn't walk to him. Instead, I looked up at him over some distance. Keto put up a light smile. I could almost see another silver-haired person in that smile. He was cold, distant, yet so close to me, so close that I could almost reach out to him. Keto, you... Once packed with joy, the amusement park was already empty before I realized. All the unoccupied and light entertainment facilities reflected lifeless light under the sun, as if they were hinting our future, that every party must come to an end. Oh, Keto! I couldn't help but scream his name. He smiled gently under the blinding sun, like an innocent, exquisite, but fragile boy. Bam! That bam, oh my god, it was so loud on my headphones. Suddenly there was a deafening explosion. I saw flames and smoke rising behind him, covering the sky. The Ferris wheel in the distance was blown to pieces within an instant. Ooh. Many more explosions took place. The amusement park was soon reduced into ruins, dust blown into the air everywhere. But he was still standing there, eyes not moving at all. Behind him, all the explosion and dust, it all became relevant. Only him and him is important. Boom. Another loud explosion blew out. I covered my ears out of instinct. For 1 second, I mistook the explosions behind Keto for fireworks. He looked at me smiling. The explosion seemed to not bother him at all, as if everything was under his control. I guessed something, but couldn't say a word when looking into his eyes. But he seemed to know what I was thinking. Before I could speak, he opened his mouth.
Sorry. This time I didn't plan things out with you beforehand.
That's okay.
Perhaps this is the last chance I'll have to ask you this question.
Oh. Keto smiled faintly and extended a hand to me. His blonde hair shone so brightly under the setting sun, it almost hurt my eyes.
Will you come with me?
Oh. Alright, I don't think I read this on camera with you. It's just that story. Okay. Louisian drew near, not answering me. Half his body was in shadow, the other half in snow-reflected light. His black eyes flashed with an icy glow.
The last time we met, I realized.
I love you. An unnatural smile curled up his thin lips, chilling, grueling, surprisingly. And what? Okay.
Just what it was that made you so sure that I wouldn't harm you.
Don't choke me again, bro. Choke me, daddy. As Louisian spoke, a boundless shadow covered me. Before I could react, a force that I couldn't overcome had a stranglehold around my throat. Damn it, Louisian! This is not what I asked for. I just made daddy choke me memes. Not really real, huh? He was so close. My whole body was practically leaning on his chest. The pungent smell of flea stung my nose. He lowered his head, looking out at me as our breaths mingled. It was such an intimate position we were in, but his hand on my neck only grew tighter. but his hand at my neck grew tighter and tighter. The fuck are you choking me? I struggled to get free of his hand, but an invincible membrane impeded my movements. Impossible for me to free my restraints. Those two black eyes inches away, had not the slightest hint of affection or wavering as they silently watched my suffering and flailing. Let go. God damn it, Louisian. This is not what I asked for. I don't mind kinky stuff, but not like this. Tears from the strain brimmed my eyes and rolled down my face. The stifling pain made everything go faint before me, but I still saw Louisian's expression so clearly. Not a trace of no pity, only malice and menace.
I already let you go once.
But I'm not gonna let you go again. He leaned closer to my ear as he spoke in a whisper, almost giving me the illusion of tenderness. Why? I looked desperately at Louisian, who seemed to really want to end me. With an inexplicable grief in my heart, I had gradually lost the ability to gather my scattered thoughts. Am I going to die? That warm white light already seemed to appear before me, but deep down I wasn't willing to accept it. I don't want to die. I still have so much I haven't done. I just got back to this world. I don't want... The light in my vision continued to grow, a pure white world filled with winding black lines, like row after row of faulty code, constantly swapping and converting. That's her evolve, right? That wave I felt before appeared again. A transparent wave of water appeared in the air, rippling out in constant... What? Circles, and slowly spreading golden rays of light. If this is the power of the evolve I possess... Use it. A hole finally appeared in the membrane, restricting me, and its heavy resistance started to loosen. Louisian also hadn't increased the pressure of his hand, keeping me from suffocating instantly. I arduously and slowly raised a hand and grasped his wrist on instinct. It can't end like this. I forced my eyes open, wanting to see Louisian's face clearly as I hoarsely spat out those words with the last of my strength. The restricting force around me receded like water, and the stranglehold around my neck loosened with it. Louisian's sudden movement made me stagger back a few steps, finally sitting exhausted on the floor rather than supporting my limp body. Chill air once again filled my burning lungs. I felt pained chest and gasped, but the rejoicing of being alive also spread through my body.
You are the Black Swan Queen.
Indeed we are. I'm gonna read one more, then I'll stop it there. So let's do this. Bloody Resolve. So what was the first one? Lingering Nightmare. Alright. Bloody Resolve. I boarded on the train again. As it started running, my heart was in complete chaos. We are the queen. Why am I seeing the same things again? No, not just seeing, but actually experiencing everything one more time. My memory became even more messed up. All those things that happened long ago felt like they just took place. I saw Keto left me in the gunfire. Endless snow fell on the sea around the cruise ship. When exactly did those things happen? I couldn't remember. The train was still going forward. I looked at the lights outside, and the human noise was still ongoing. I couldn't hear what they were talking. Neither could I see anyone around. Only my reflection on the window was looking back at me. It's telling me, you're not going to be able to get out of these train stations. You're stuck there endlessly for eternity. Something suddenly came to my mind. Could this all be related to the other me? But my guess was completely unsupported. I heard the piano melody again, but this time I couldn't seem to remember what it meant. It just kept playing on and on in my ears, softly, gently. Almost felt like someone was trying to tell me something, but couldn't. Because I'm in the train station. We have arrived at station. Please get off using the doors on the left. We have arrived at hell. I stood next to the door on the left, and as the train pulled to a stop, however, the door behind me opened instead. Whoa. Huh? Doors are open. Please watch your step. Slightly shocked, I turned around and walked out before looking at the exit ahead again. Ooh. Firefighter Bridge. All right. I looked on with wide-eyed disbelief. My ears rang with a buzzing from the huge blast. Oh, and my heart beat faster than it ever had. What just happened? The scene in front of me and the one from my vision interlaced with my mind, clearly telling me the explosion happened. In the fiery glow of the explosion, the monolith bridge instantly cracked, collapsed, and fell to pieces. A giant ragged crack tore open from the middle of the bridge outwards. The raging river cruelly swallowed up all the broken rocks and cars that fell down the crack. Oof. Run, 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 please run. Screaming people finally scattered and fled in the directions, and the sound of explosions continued one after another. I was rooted in place, my daze and fear of the future overcoming any instinct to flee. The black umbrella fell from my hand, and it was swept away in the wind, never to be seen again. Miss, what are you doing just now? What are you doing just there? Run, goddammit! A strange middle-aged man pulled my arm, yanking me from my stupor. I finally snapped to. I raised a hand and wiped away tears that had fallen at some point as I staggered among the crowd, running away from the danger zone. Everywhere I looked was chaos. Pile-ups blocked the road. The ground was covered in blood, and the tragic scene had everyone worked into a panic. That's awful, man. Shrill screams, desperate cryings, the sound of constant blasts behind me. Of sounds weaved into the tragedy of endless night. What should I do? What can I do? I racked my brain, but it just came up blank. My power by itself is minuscule in the face of such a catastrophe. Suddenly, a malicious hand shoved me from behind. Before the word help could leave the throat. What? I was already careening forward, completely caught off guard. I saw myself about to fall into the rushing traffic in the bitter cold wind. The feel of countless car headlights on my face actually made me feel hot. Just then, a hand reached out and grabbed my wrist, wrenching me back on the sidewalk. Is it Victor? I was gonna say Gavin, right? But he drives his Sparky. Ooh, you could shove me in the car. In practically an instant, a black car brushed past my arm, and my hair was disheveled by the passing wind. Oh my goodness, that's... Oh, my hair, blocking my view of the surroundings. I fell into a hard embrace. My mind was still confused, but my heart was almost frozen with terror, started to beat again. Thank you,
Hold tight.
Oh, that's Gavin? A surprisingly familiar voice sounded above me. For a moment, I thought I was having a hallucination. Why was I hearing Gavin's voice? Gavin? Black car? You don't drive a black car unless you were in it, right? When I looked up, my eyes fell upon that same Gavin who had given me a warning a few short hours ago. Still that same familiar brown hair flapping in the wind. Still those familiar strong arms cradling me so securely with his sexy throat. At my most helpless, most perilous moment, he was still there just in time to save me from the abyss, except those silent, straightforward eyes of his told me that now I was just a stranger to him. Gavin, do you remember me? My hands clutched at the clothes at his chest. The rough material of the sexy military uniform stung my hands. Oh, okay. But I still didn't let go. I don't want to let go of you, please. I'm scared. I was afraid he would leave again. Afraid this time I wouldn't be able to speak with him. Afraid that I wouldn't have a chance to see him again. On the narrow street, the frenzied crowd ran on ahead, bumping us over and over as we stood our ground. I could only cling closely to Gavin's chest. In the turbulent air, I was enveloped by his familiar clean scent. Aww. Central quarantine zone. All right. Uh-oh. Is it this scene again? Oh no. I was pulled inside behind Victor into his spacious lobby. On all four sides were gray and white walls. In the center of the space hung a gold cube. Footsteps came down each hallway. Groups of people wearing quarantine uniforms, COVID, came streaming into the lobby in endless procession? What? I stopped a little girl passing by. Little girl, please, what's going on? What's happened? Why is everyone coming here? The girl kept walking like she didn't hear me. Her face was numb, like a walking corpse. When the last person had entered the room, the doors were shut. And things are about to get nasty, bro. Ooh, in this sea of people, Victor and I were in the very center. Everyone I could see stared around guardedly, with an empty look in their eyes. The sound of an electric current was heard. Everyone looked up at the noise. The final performance has begun at last. It was a hoarse voice that had been run through a modulator with an evil glee to it that made it hard to discern if it was a man or a woman. So, the sound of an evil current was heard. Everyone looked up at the noise. But still, I felt an inexplicable familiar feeling. With a bang, the metal box in the center popped open and the sides lowered, revealing a transparent cube inside. 4 spotlights lit up on the box, illuminating a clear test tube placed inside. No, not just a test tube. Inside was a half vial of a clear liquid. In front of you all is the world's one and only virus antidote. Oh my God, it's the COVID vaccine. My heart jumped onto my throat. Oh my God, I wasn't the only one. The beasts of everyone there lit up like the eyes of everyone lit up like a beast wakening in a gloomy forest, their faces full of ravenous hunger. Give me that vaccine, man. But which lucky person shall receive it and be saved? Well, I don't give a shit. You'll have 5 minutes. Oh, hell, 10 minutes. Use brute force to win it for yourself. Before the voice had finished talking, Victor and I had been pushed to the edge of the lobby. The packed crowd rushed forward, some falling, some shouting, stepping over each other in a frenzy. Oh my God, you are here. I'm pushing you. I don't care. Just go die off in the corner. This is my vaccine. Let me see if my brother's coming. Just want to make sure. All right. Without weapons, they tore at each other with bare hands, just even bloodier than most savage. Children sobbed, and elderly cried for help. And flesh struck against flesh all before my eyes.
I can't stop time right now.
That's right, and I don't remember the reason why he wasn't able to. Oh my God. Ooh. I was locked in Victor's arms and his face was tense and cold. Victor, please help me. But you stabbed me. Oh no. Mama, help me, I'm hurt. A little boy fell in front of us. His mother was pushed to the side and could only cry out in panic, but no one noticed or cared. Seeing a group of people barreling the boy's way, Victor pushed away the person stepping on him.
Out of the way!
Out of the way, everyone! The man that had pushed cursed and raised his fist, but Victor quickly put him in a wrist lock. Are you okay? I hastily helped the boy up. Everyone around seemed to stop for a few seconds, but then they went back and scrabbling, and the people up ahead didn't even notice the little incident. Everyone, settle down. I have a way. I'm not going to listen to you. This vial only has one antidote. It can only cure one person, but I can ask the best scientists to research it. Oh no, I tried to convince the crowd, but not one paid any attention to me. My voice was like a drop of water in a raging river. Stampeding feet were the cruelest of battle cries, signaling a war without gunfire. Now I understood the true significance of this so-called battle royale. Yes, this faceless person incited the most primitive desire in people with the greatest of ease, and I was powerless before it. There's nothing I can do. All I could do was watch the bloodshed, the crying, and the looting unfold before me. I didn't fear danger or harm, but what if one day that danger and harm was called humanity? A feeling of deja vu came over me. Fear, panic, despair. Right now, at this moment, there was absolutely nothing I could do. It was beyond my hands. Oof. Ouch. Central Quarantine Zone, 3:30 bus. Oof. Well, I'm glad we didn't get that part where we got stabbed. Thank you very much. Oh, Sean. The bus was it, right? The bus was empty so early in the morning, and there was hardly any pedestrians due to the flu. The driver seemed extremely impatient, though, slamming the gas and brakes, making for a bumpy ride. I hate you guys. I hate my job, but I still gotta drive you everywhere in this amazing bus. Huh. I sat in the seat, my heart in my throat. We sped along, and one stop before my destination. The bus stopped. Was there someone else out at this hour? I peered at the entrance. A tall, young man with a skateboard and headphones walked in. Can I borrow your skateboard? Hey, under his hat brim. A pair of subdued eyes locked sight with mine. Okay. The next second, he sat down in the seat next to me. Oh, you love me? With all the seats on the bus, why do you have to sit next to me? Come on, bro. Obviously, there's a reason. A little confused, I had consciously scooted to in a little. Not seeming to care, he sat down, crossed his legs, and pulled out a black MP4 player. Feeling curious, I looked over his device. The bottom had 2 extra dials, and it was all scratched up, like he used it a long time. For that to be scratched up like that, I would assume it'd be... Oh, my foot. It's numb. It feels weird. Oh. But having Sean next to me with his MP4 player. Yes. Smartphone. No. On the screen, an old song of Green Day's was playing Holiday. On the quiet bus, I could faintly hear the blaring music coming out of the headphones, too. Maybe it snuck one too many looks. His eyebrows perked up as he shot out me a sidelong glance. Oh my gosh, what have I done?
Want to listen?
Huh? No. That's what you ask me? You sit here with your sexiness and you ask me, you want to listen? I felt a little embarrassed and waved my hands as I turned the boy away. The bus proceeded forward, seemingly faster than before. Suddenly, after a sudden turn, my head banged against the skateboard. Ita. The next second, a hand was holding the board firm and keeping me in place with it. Ooh. The guy still sat firmly in his seat, his eyes squinting in irritation.
Hey, not so fast, you hear?
Oh, not so fast, you hear, man. Oh. The words fired out of his mouth. That Victor has a mouth too, bro. Totally opposed him from his casual demeanor. It made me shiver the cold. This is a public... Ugh, fuck it, whatever. The driver turned to argue, but was cowed by the guy's intimidating aurora. He nodded and slowed down. A hint of disdain flashed in the student's eyes, and then he ran his fingers through his hair. Oh, what have I got myself into? Thanks. I'm not thanking you. He shot me a playful look, his slender brows quivering upward.
You bumped my skateboard.
Oh, is that what your concern is? Damn you. Ugh. He spoke in a tease, his eyes looking at me dead on. Me and you, girl. That's how I feel. Just like, really? That's your concern? My embarrassment grew, and I turned completely toward the window, just wishing we'd reach my stop. As I impatiently leaned against the window, a sharp, familiar pain ran through my head. Oh, a white light dissipated, and then I saw a familiar intersection. That's right, we had a premonition, right? Like the bus was gonna crash. The 3:30 bus suddenly lost control and crashed head-on to a pedestrian in a crosswalk. A young woman lay in a puddle of blood. Pages from files she was carrying littered the ground. The look in her wide, open eyes, impossible to describe. Ooh. Then the eyes disappeared from my sight, and I popped up my head to look out the window. Down the street after the next turn, we were coming to that intersection. My precognition, it's back. Oh. Ooh, this was intense. So that is all I'm going to read. So next time, hopefully tomorrow, I can read to you Time Subway number 2. Wow. This is pretty interesting. Like, we're going, like, in the past just reading what's going on, but damn, they're picking up the Oh, the story's never happy, is it? So yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye, my friends. Oh, 30 minutes, that's not bad.